Mark, and you want to set the video timer down to where it says like 15 seconds left. Don't do the full 2 minutes. Make sure you do it based on the video though, not the vMix timer.
15 seconds.
Yeah. Video timer down to where it says like 15.
Here we are. Hey, everybody. Thanks for your patience. Sorry, we had some technical issues on my end. I think somehow it's important for people to be able to hear me without an echo. I don't know why that's a big deal, Matt, but it is. Hi, Matt. How you doing?
I'm just messing with you. I'm fine.
Well,
I didn't want to scare a Mark.
Oh, it's thank you for tuning in to Dying Out Loud again, everybody. It's November the 21st, a Tuesday, as always. 2023, I think, is still the year, and it's Thanksgiving week, I guess they say. So, Matt, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Nothing.
Yeah,
I'm actually working. I mean, don't get me wrong.
You're working.
Yeah, I mean, neither of us have family here. We would probably go. Odds are, I'll probably go to Cracker Barrel and get us like they do a pretty good Thanksgiving dinner for people who don't want to like cook a whole bunch. But I've got guests. Well, we have Jeff Blackwell from American Atheist is in town. He'll be joining me on the show tomorrow night and hanging out over here. And then I've got loads of animals to take care of, and I'm also trying to plan a trip to St. Louis for some dental work and a visit with a family. So I got lots of work to do. I got to get snake stuff set up, and yeah.
How is the snake world there?
It's outstanding. We just got so Arden's birthday is in 8 days, and amongst other things, we got 2 black-tailed cribos, 1 scaleless Texas rat snake, a breeding pair of Honduran milk snakes that are just absolutely gorgeous, and one's an albino that's double het, the other one's a normal that's triple het. We have 60-ish babies that are going up on Morph Market by the end of the week to start off Black Friday sales of new stuff. I got 11 eggs in the incubator. I got oodles and gobs of rats and all kinds of stuff. It's just
when I last visited you, it was years ago. You had I think 1 snake in a glass case by the door. How did you get to this from that? You've become the snake magnate, or how'd you get there? I'm just curious. I know that.
I always loved snakes, and I kept snakes. And in the early 90s, I wanted to get involved in breeding. And if I'd done that now, I'd be a millionaire. But, I would have had to invest a lot that I didn't have. And I needed space in a house that I didn't have. And I had roommates that didn't, want the other stuff. So I got, let's say, I got largely sidelined and didn't do any breeding. And then a couple of years ago, for a year and a half ago, I guess, for Arden and mine's first anniversary, I got her a snake. And then a couple months later, she got another snake. And then she said, hey, could we breed them? And I was like, we can, but it's going to take, like 2-3 years before the babies that you got are able to breed. And that was disheartening. And so we sat down and talked about it. And I was like, we don't have to wait. I can buy breeder ready snakes. And that led to where we went to 2 snakes, and then 6 snakes, and then 12 snakes, and then 40 snakes. And you go from there.
A house full of snakes. Yeah. Well, that's what you do now. I mean, you can hardly even get away for a weekend because you got snakes to take care of. But that's cool though. That's and hopefully you'll get to start making money soon, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've already started making money. We went and we go to reptile conventions on weekends where we're not doing stuff here. We did a
Mhm.
reptile convention in Waco where we sold like 5 snakes. We've got a couple of people who've expressed an interest in some of the ones we've already got. But yeah, it's just it's genuinely something that we love doing. We're a little crazy,
Yeah,
but
you
it's
are.
like so the genetics of it is incredibly interesting. Learning about the different species. We now have, I think, 7 species, 7 different species of snake, and we will probably be up to maybe 10 by next year. But in addition to the breeding and other stuff, we're wanting to do like assemblies at schools where we introduce kids to reptiles so that they're not afraid of them, so they know
Yeah.
how to interact and how to respect them. And here's the snakes that are in your area so that you can, identify snakes if they're in your backyard. So maybe you don't have to kill it or freak out, or maybe you can
Yeah.
save your dog from getting bit by a copperhead. And then another one where we can potentially do, here's some exotic snake species. But I love one of the things, the ideas that I came up with for the assemblies that I just love that we'll be able to do is just amongst ball pythons, for example, there are over 200 different identified morphs. And so they look different, even though they're all the same, just like all of us look different, even though we're all the same. And the notion that this snake is valued at $100 and this snake is valued at $40,000, when the only thing that's different is there's a curious bit of genetics that make, give you a slightly different coloration or a pattern change or whatever. And so there's lots of opportunities there to teach about value and bullying, and you may look different from me, but underneath it all we're the same, and we had the same ancestors, the same parents. There's so many opportunities to teach stuff
Hmm.
and get kids excited about science and maybe snakes as well.
Well, it's cool because a lot of people just have this unhealthy fear of snakes just because they're afraid of them because they've always been afraid or whatever. And just getting the knowledge takes that fear away. So that's pretty cool that you do that. Folks, you've learned if you ever want to get Matt talking, you can ask him about either evidence for God or snakes. And there he's off. He's running. And lesson number 1. So we do have calls lined up. We do have lines open though, and we'd love to hear from you if you've got questions or comments about life or death or faith or unbelief. If you've got that elusive evidence for God that Matt's been looking for what, almost 20 years now, Matt?
Yep.
18 years? Yeah. Call us. We want to hear from you.
And we've got somebody.
720-619-2288. Huh?
There's
Yeah, we've got
there's already
somebody
a
with
caller
I want to get
if you
to her
want.
right now. Yeah, let's take this call. We've got Christina. She, they from Canada has evidence from God of his existence. Hello, Christina. You're on the line with Dave and Matt. Hello, Christina. Are you
Uh-oh.
there?
Hey, did we fix all the audio issues except for the caller?
That's kind of important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hello, I can hear.
Hey.
Hello.
Dang it! Hello.
Hey there.
Can you hear me?
We hear you
Hey
now.
there.
Hi.
We hear you.
Oh,
We-
sorry about
we
that.
got you.
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. No problem. We're glad to have you. You've got evidence from God of his existence.
Yes, I can
We'd
actually
love to hear
offer
that.
you measurable evidence for your God.
Wow.
Your God? Or-
Measurable
okay.
evidence for
Yeah, measurable
which God?
existence for your God.
You
Which
said
God?
your
you know,
God.
the Omni one, the burning bush.
The biblical God.
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. I know it's gonna sound like a little bit unbelievable. To be
I'm not
honest,
sure what's going on. I'm not sure what's going on with your audio, Christina, because it's like dipping. Are you?
Yeah, just hold yourself close to the mic. Stay in one place and be close to the mic there.
okay. Yeah. I wish that I could turn it off of the button. I just don't know how to work the app
It's
that
good
you guys
right there.
have.
It's working fine right now. Go for it.
It's fine right there. Go ahead and go.
So I actually am kind of hoping that you guys will be able to rip apart the evidence that I give it to you, because I kind of like the challenge of it. I want this to be hard. So to make it interesting, if you can find a flaw in my reasoning.
I don't need it. I don't need it interesting. I just need to know you're the first person in my 20 years of doing this to specifically say you have measurable evidence for the biblical God. What is it?
Yes, I know. But the only way that I can do it is if it's interesting to me. If it's not interesting to me, then I get bored.
Christina,
I'm bored now.
It's going to be interesting if you give us evidence. Just give it to us. Quit qualifying it. Just give it to us. We're ready. Bring it. Hello?
Hello?
I thought we were going to get it. I really did.
Was the measurable evidence how long we would let you go on and on and on without presenting it?
I measured that about 2 minutes. Christina, can you hear us? Are you there? I hear something.
It shows that the call is still connected, but at this point, Christina's just wasting our money because we pay for
And
every second of these calls. Yeah. So, Christina, if you get it working, call back in. I'll save your IP address. Oh, you will.
Okay, there she is.
Okay.
Where's the evidence?
Hi. Yes. I'm gonna call you back on my phone instead of through the internet, because I will have better connection and can take it off speaker.
Sweet.
Okay, when you do, Christina, just cut to the chase. Just tell us the evidence. Don't qualify it. Don't set it up. Just tell us. We're ready. Okay? Call us back.
I get that, but in order to give you the evidence, I have to present how to measure the evidence.
Okay. Well, call us back on your phone.
Okay. Thank you.
We're looking forward to it. Bye-bye.
Oh crap! I did that, Dave. My apologies.
That's okay.
I
She was gonna call back anyway, so that's fine.
No. I'm just saying. I'm so used to doing it that I was just like, oh my god, that's good. So yes, you are steering. I'm just sitting here.
No, don't worry about that. I don't care. I'm you're the pro here. I'm just hanging out with you, so don't worry about that. You're not stepping on my toes.
I don't know if I've been this intrigued about any caller in a long time, because not only does Christina have supposedly measurable evidence for the biblical God, but in order to present the measurable evidence, she has to explain to us how to measure it. And I'm like,
I'm waiting. I'm waiting with bated breath. I just can't wait for this next call. So as soon as she comes in, call screeners. Let's clear her and get her right back. So we will be looking for that.
Poll of like on a scale of flat Earth to hallelujah. How close is Christina going to get to actual measurable evidence for the biblical God? I want to know.
Yeah, we're ready. So Christina, we're looking forward to that. While we've got some other calls, but Matt, what you've got coming up tomorrow? You've got the hang up tomorrow night. Who's your guest with you?
Jeff Blackwell from American Atheist. He's one of the lawyers on the American Atheist team, and so we're going to talk a little bit. We'll take calls as normal, but we'll talk a little bit about what's going on, both with court cases that deal with church-state separation and stuff like that.
Yep. And then we've got the Transatlantic Call-In show on Thursday. You know who's on that? I don't have it in front of me.
There won't be one on Thursday because Thursday's Thanksgiving. And what will probably happen is if Jimmy's feeling up to it, and Arden and I are feeling up to it, since we're just doing snake stuff and I'm getting video work done so that I can get all my work done before the last day of the month, we may be doing some live stream stuff here on the line, but I'm waiting to hear from Jimmy to make sure.
Your snakes don't know it's Thanksgiving, so you can get away with that. Also,
correct.
folks, to support the show, to support the channel, patreon.com/calltheline, as well as super chats. So we'd love to hear from you. Send your super chats in. Everything $5 and more will be read at the end of the show by Matt and myself. So if you have comments or questions that you want to add to the show, you send a super chat and we will take care of that at the end of the show. It's another way to support the show. So thank you for your support, everyone. Let's take another call. What do you think?
Go for it.
Seth, he, him in Colorado. You're on the line with Dave and Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing? Well, I shouldn't say well.
We're
I'm
good.
not actually. That's
Well, talk to us. What's on your mind?
I think the screen caller had put it in. I'm Seth from Sunday. I had donated a large amount in memory of my dad who had passed on Saturday.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you told me to call in today, and now I feel like I've asked because I thought, well, I should have donated it today. But it was just one of those things that hit me.
It all gets to
I
the
was looking
same
for
spot.
comfort.
Yeah, it's all
looking
goes to
for
the same
comfort in
pot.
my routine. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. Yeah.
How long ago did your father pass?
Saturday night.
Oh wow.
Oh, you guys, you probably haven't had services or anything yet.
We had a direct family only thing last night, but other than that, no. Still processing through everything.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing in the rest of the family? Because I know you mentioned that your dad was a fan or appreciated stuff. How are you doing?
I'm processing. Sunday was real hard, and I know there's another. I had a pretty big crash on Sunday, and I'm expecting I'll probably have another one here. With the holiday coming up, suddenly not having him around for that stuff. So, little bit. There was that. He had actually beat cancer twice, but he was on experimental drugs to deal with the cancer, and the drugs killed his kidneys, and he went into renal failure.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And so it was he was going to the VA. He was a Navy veteran. I'm also a Navy veteran. But he was going to the VA to get his kidneys checked, and he crashed his car. And they basically told him that even if he did dialysis every day, he had 6 months to live. And he decided he did not want to be on dialysis. So we moved him into hospice, and he lasted about 2.5 weeks, and then he went Saturday.
Oh wow. So fairly quickly, all things considered.
Yeah, when he was in the hospital, we knew it was coming, and there was one of those, we knew it was coming, and he kind of had a rally while he was in hospice where he was up and going around and doing his thing, and he's doing pretty good. And then I talked to him last Tuesday, and he seemed fine. And then when I saw him on Friday, it was obvious that he had taken a extreme nosedive where, he was doing the thing where, he's basically having 3 conversations at once where his sentences were getting interchanged. He was changing out words for other words, so the things he was saying wasn't making sense. It was obvious, his brain was being poisoned by his body, and they basically put him in a morphine coma on Saturday, and he went Saturday night. So it was earlier in the week he seemed pretty good, and at the end of the week he was just gone.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry, Seth, for your loss. That's it sounds like it's been tough on you. You said he was a fan of the channel, of the show, and yourself as well. I guess he was an atheist.
Yes. He
And
was
you,
actually a part of the clergy project. He was a Lutheran pastor for over
oh,
30 years.
I didn't know that. Okay, well, you may not have known that I'm a member of the Clergy Project as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I'm very familiar with the work, and I've met quite a few people through that. So, how long had he been out of faith and out of his and a member of the Clergy Project and deconstructed? How long had that been for him?
Uh, he had been he'd only been out. I mean, so he had kind of got essentially he was a big time hippie kind of thing, and he always used the church to do other things. His big thing was counseling. So he would do family counseling, grief counseling. He used to counsel for Vietnam vets and whatnot. So, and he always just kind of used
Oh,
the
wow.
institution of the church to do that. And he never, I've considered myself an atheist my entire life. I went to church because it was about supporting him, as my mom put it.
Hmm.
It was never about believing it, and he never pushed that kind of stuff. He liked to get up and tell stories and be around with people, but he was never about the Bible and about God and that kind of stuff. He
Yeah,
was essentially using the institution of the Lutheran Church to kind of do other things that he actually enjoyed, and which was counseling, helping
actually,
people, telling
actually,
stories, very social.
yeah, actually help people instead of Bible thumping. Sounded like a
Yeah,
great guy.
absolutely. And yeah, very much so. And so basically he was kind of radical in some of those ways, and some of the old people who wrote all the checks for the church kind of went to the bishop and had him kicked out, and he was basically kind of done with religion after that. He held on to
I
his
see.
faith for a good, I'd say 10 years after that, but I think he only really outwardly declared he was an atheist for maybe the last 3 or 5 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there are a lot of, I've been fortunate because even though I'm not a part of the clergy project, one of the things that can happen is people in the clergy project can make connections with people. And so there've been a couple of individuals in the clergy project who specifically got my contact information because they wanted to talk to me, about their path. I don't know the details. I just know that, if you feel like you would like to speak to somebody and somebody in the clergy project knows, they'll put you in touch, because it's happened to me a couple of times now. But one thing I keep hearing is that a number of the people who were in the clergy project were ministers in what I would consider one of the truest senses of the word, where the religious aspect isn't the ministering they're doing. They are servants
Absolutely.
of a community, meeting the needs of those people, whether those needs be, emotional, psychological, spiritual, etc. Um, and it sounds like, your dad was clearly one of those individuals who, let me just be the person who helped people and tries to guide people through this, mess of a world. Um,
Hmm.
I I can't think of anything I'd appreciate more than people who, as their primary motivation, is just to make life better for other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. Like I said, I mean, used to, his favorite thing was he would, in one of his things that he always did is when he was preaching, he would write his own stories, and there would be, parables, but he'd write his own story, and so it'd be a 25-minute story and a 5-minute sermon, kind of relating it back to the thing rather than just preaching out of the Bible. So it was much more he was able to get his creative juices going with being able to write stuff, but it also kept it entertaining and in some ways more impactful. I always thought of,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. A lot of people think of ministers or pastors, all of them, like they're charlatans, and they're just, like the ones that get all the press, all the attention, the Greg Locks
oh yeah,
and those kind. And there are a lot of good ones. There are a lot of good people, like Matt was saying, who just want to help folks. They get into it for the right reasons, and they just want to serve people. They want to love them. They want to help them with their human needs. and they don't get the press, they don't get the attention, but they're just good
Yeah.
people. And it sounds like that's exactly what your dad was. So I know you're going to miss him and miss that. I'm really sorry for that.
Yeah, we were pretty close, and we used to we get in arguments, and he pretty well credits you, Matt, and I introduced him to Bart Ehrman, and Bart Ehrman and you were basically the reasons he said that he gave up on God. So.
Well, I'm
Well,
honored that anything I ever said, helped him or anybody else out. But I like the fact that what we're kind of talking about here is even after he's no longer was a believer, he still spent his time helping people and, and being in that realm. So that for the people who, whose view is that atheism is some sort of, dour, sad, I don't even know the right word, but a miserable existence. I like the fact that even after finding his way out, your dad made sure that he was still representing and being the best of us.
mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that's what his main focus and the thing that he took the most joy in was helping people through anything he could. I mean, the literal, guy give you the shirt off his back and was always there to talk to anybody about anything, and he would he would go on forever.
Well, it just shows you that helping people is a human endeavor. There's no God required. There's no God needed for people to be kind to one another, to be helpful, to meet human needs. And your dad was doing that. So he was that guy, whether he believed in God or not. And I've met
Yeah.
so many people who meet me or another atheist, and they'll go, "Oh wow, you're a nice guy." I mean, they don't think atheists can be nice or good. As Matt was saying, they think atheists are angry or mean or sour, and we're just the same humans. I'm the same human being I was when I believed in God. I have the same compassion, the same empathy, the same kindness. I think I'm better because I don't have categories of people that I think are wrong or sinful. I look at everyone the
Yeah.
same. And that sounds like that's exactly who your dad was. So I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that you saw that in him and that you probably want to carry that on and want to be that same kind of person.
Yeah, I actually basically because of that I got my bachelor's in psychology, and I'm trying very slowly to work on my master's, and I want to help do counseling for vets. It's a big thing here in Colorado Springs. So
Wow.
Well,
Good
I
for you,
genuinely
Seth.
wish I would have. I genuinely wish I would have got the chance to meet your dad because, given what we know about the type of person he is, um, irrespective of what he thought about what I did, there's some really good value in getting someone who cares about people and can tell good stories and get a lesson out of it in arenas where we're currently working. There are people out there,
Mm-hmm.
yet don't get me wrong, there are fans of my shows that love, oh, Matt's going to argue and rah, 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 rah. And then, Dave's going to come in and do a little bit of arguing and a little bit of educating and a little bit of compassion. Um, one of the most important messages that I ever got from somebody in the broader secular community came from Margaret Downey, who everybody loves. And
Mm-hmm.
we would be going to atheist conventions. I was probably going to 8 of them a year for a while. The convention scene has dropped off a little bit just because there were so many of them. But there are still some really good ones. And what would happen is many of them would appear to be very similar. You would have a handful of academics get up and talk about, here's some information we have on some study or on a prayer study or on religiosity. Here's where we're the areas in the world where secularism is growing. Here's how we're winning. Here are the legal cases that we're dealing with. Here's what our local community is doing. Here's how you can get involved, blah, blah, blah. And Margaret came up to me at one of the events, I believe it was the Memphis event, and was talking about how what the broader community needs, and I agree with her, is just an opportunity for people to share their stories. Because there's a lot of people who feel that they're alone. They're the only ones who've had a certain experience. They're the only ones who, you know, they're the only atheists they know, and all this other stuff. But if you don't have to take anybody and everybody and put them up on stage for 45 minutes. You could have a story hour that was entirely, hey, we're going to have a parade of people come up, and they're each going to get 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever it is. And you just get to tell your story and it can be, your deconstruction story. It can be your, something you discovered that you didn't, know about before. Being able to do that allows us to build those human connections and to show you're not alone. And that person over there went through something very similar to you. I've seen a lot of posts lately on social media where they're like, when somebody says something and you try to relate to it, so you tell a story of yours, there are people who are like, oh my gosh, you're just trying to one up, or we're playing, trying to compare, trauma dueling or whatever else. What's really happening is that people are trying to create an actual connection, not to say, oh, I've been there and be dismissive, but I've been there. Let's go find another person who's been there and try to help them. I just
absolutely
think those are amazing.
Absolutely. Well, Seth, we really appreciate you calling in and appreciate your support of the channel. And thank you for sharing with us a little bit of your dad and letting us get a glimpse of him and his kind of the legacy he's left you. Yes?
Can I throw I don't know if there's licensing process, but can I throw a shout out to we donated his body to medical science and their program is awesome. Can I throw them a shout out? Or is that no good?
No, go ahead.
So I always wanted my body donated to medical science, and basically my dad was like, well, just do it as cheap as possible. So Science Care is a group. So you fill out some paperwork and you kind of have to apply for it, before you die. And then they take care of everything. They pick up your loved one. They then use it. Mostly it's for medical students to practice on cadavers and that kind of thing, or it could be for other things. There's a whole host of other things they do. And then they cremate it and send you back all at no cost. So you get the benefit of helping medical science, and if there's that aspect of people can't afford things, it's a way of getting that done at no cost as well.
What's it called again?
Science Care. ScienceCare.com. I've actually got it open.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And they've been awesome, and we had to fill out paperwork, and they have handled everything. And I guess the only downside is that you have to wait potentially a couple of months before getting the ashes back, but they handle everything, and you get to know that you or your loved one is helping medical science kind of carry on.
Yep.
Cool.
At no cost.
No, that's great. And thank you for the link. I will check it out, because I've always said, take me out behind the barn and take me out when I'm outlived my usefulness. But I'd love for my body to be used for scientific experiments. And I don't care if you want to chuck it out in one of the body. I think the body farms are really cool. Where they'll lay you out, and monitor the temperature and humidity and how long it takes bugs to do. So it helps them solve crimes.
Yeah.
You can do a Scooby-Doo type thing with your body afterwards. And I find that an interesting option. Let me train the next generation of, hey, was this a murder? Or how long's this body been here?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, they've been awesome, and it's advanced medical science. And if you don't have the funds, it's also a free way of getting a loved one cremated.
Yeah.
Well,
that's good stuff.
But
Seth,
thank you guys
I hope
for what you do.
I hope you and the family, I hope you and the rest of the family are doing okay. Take care of yourself in your grief, and just know that it's all part of the process.
Yep. Just yep. I'll get there. Thank you
I know
guys
you
so
will.
much.
all right, thanks, Seth.
Yep. Thank you for calling, Seth.
Good night.
Good night, buddy. Oops. He started to say something else. Well, Christina was back and then she's gone.
Yeah, she was saying a bunch of stuff in chat about how there's some sort of game and it has big prizes. And then just when we're ending the call and we're ready to take Christina's call, that's when she says, okay, I'll have to call back tomorrow night. Please, Matt, please play my games. I promise it'll be worth it. What's wrong with having fun when playing with magic? Christina, don't ever call another show I'm on. If there's a God, you are a miserable failure at demonstrating anything other than you are a time waster, and I'd rather not have my time wasted. You could have presented actual evidence for a God, supposedly, and instead you just tried to fuck around in chat to the point where the moderators had to time you out multiple times. And then just before we're ready to take your call, that's when you went and ran away. I don't care. I no longer, I was more curious about your particular version of bullshit than most bullshit I've heard lately. And now I just don't care, Christina.
Well, I got the sense when we did have her on the line, I got the sense that she was playing around. There was a tone in her voice that was just kind of like she's just fucking with us, you know. And why do that? I just, why have a serious conversation, or don't? But I agree. I don't want to talk to her either. But we will talk to Renee. She, her in Australia. Hey, Renee, you're on the line with Dave and Matt. How are you doing?
Hey, Renee.
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Sorry, I'm just muting the program. Hi, Dave. Hi, Matt. How are you?
We're
Doing
good.
pretty well.
We're good. Good to hear from you. What's on your mind tonight?
Thank you so much for taking my call. So, Dave, to my understanding, you advocate for patients in hospitals that are irreligious.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Patients
I said that, to my understanding, you advocate for patients in hospitals that are irreligious.
Well, I guess what you mean is I advocate for patients in hospitals to not have religion forced upon them. For any patient in any hospital or nursing home or anywhere where they're receiving medical care, to not have any religious ideology put upon them that they don't want. If a person's in a hospital and they are religious and they do want prayer, then I want to advocate for their right to have that. But I'm aware of examples where people have been in hospitals or situations where they've had nurses praying for them without their permission, preaching to their dying mother or father surreptitiously without permission. That's what I'm against. I'm against religious overreach in the healthcare system. Is that what you meant?
Okay, yeah. I mean, not necessarily, but I'm really glad that you cleared that up. That makes total sense to me, and I really appreciate that you do that.
Were you
So-
thinking were you thinking that I was wanting all religion to be out of hospitals, no chaplains, no prayer of any kind? Is that what you were thinking?
No, not at all. I just thought that you advocated more for irreligious people than you did for religious people. I didn't necessarily recognize that you drew the distinction between, what people consented, to
Yes.
having religious intervention in their hospital stay and not, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, to get a little bit personal, my father had ALS, and we were a very religious household, and I recognize that, I know it's a sample size of 1, but I recognize that religiosity sort of dehumanized him. And, with those deepities, like everything happens for a reason and God works in mysterious ways and, all those freaking things, that, having that sort of religious resource available to you, as an individual suffering from a similar illness, wasn't necessarily in the best interest of the person suffering. So I was wondering if you perhaps, also considered that?
I'm not sure I'm following. Matt, are you following her comment there?
I'm not sure I followed either.
Okay. I did your father, for instance, was your father, he was religious, so he wanted that religious influence in his healthcare process? Is that correct?
I don't know, actually. I was 15 at the time, and
Okay.
quite frankly, he ended up being defined by his disease. So he had visits from ministers and, family members that sort of, would repeat the rhetoric that everything happens for a reason and God works in mysterious ways and, all of those things. And I don't necessarily know what he wanted, but I know during that process, or I perceived during that process, he was dehumanized. Like,
Gotcha.
who he was sort of took a back step, and, every theological sort of sentiment and deepity took preference.
Yeah.
And I know it's just a sample size of 1, but I think that kind of sucks for the individual, a person was through their suffering.
I agree with that. I think that's a good observation on your part, that the religious influence dehumanized his own experience. It made it more about God and less about him as the person.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a great observation on your part, Renee.
I think it happens most often probably at funeral services where
Absolutely.
There'll be a couple of anecdotes, but when they turn someone's service, whether they were religious or not, into like, an altar call and all this, it diminishes that person's life. For me, and granted, when my folks die, we'll have whatever funeral they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with respecting everybody's wishes and giving the kind of funeral they want. And if they want, a come to Jesus moment at their funeral, then we can have that. But to me, it seems like it reminds me of parents who want religion taught inside of public schools as well. If you want to teach your kids religion, you can do that at home. You can take them to church on the weekend. We don't need to also do it in school. And similarly, there's enough opportunities for people to focus on the religion and spread the word and all this without also doing it at a communal gathering where probably the best use of that time is to comfort the bereaved and to share stories and thoughts about the person that's passed, so that my memories of that person and Dave's memories of that person and Renee's memories of that person get blended together so that we all come away with more and better memories of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that sounds
I
like that's what
agree.
happened to your dad. Yeah. I'm very sorry about that, Renee.
That's okay. Yeah, I remember when he died. All I heard was, yeah, he's in a better place. You knew he was dying.
No.
Which is so dehumanizing to who he was and the experiences he had and the life he had. And I just wondered if, extending, to religious people, not necessarily or not at all, like talking about atheism or religiosity, but just, talking about who they are, what they experience and all these things could actually be beneficial in their quality of life. I don't know.
Well, that's why I talk about this stuff, so that the religious people can maybe begin to understand how much damage they're doing when they talk about stuff like that. When they tell a young daughter that her dad's in a better place, and the young daughter's going, no, the better place would be here with me. And you have to listen to that shit. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that you had to experience that. It's not right. And that's why Matt and I speak up about this stuff, because religion does real damage to people, especially at the most vulnerable times of their lives.
It really does.
It does.
Really, really does. My dad expressed suicidal ideation, and because of my religiosity at the time, I denied those thoughts. I didn't let him discuss what he was feeling, and that is valid to feel that way, considering he was going through ALS. And it's horrible that you deny the person their humanity and their experiences in favor of this ideology that has no evidence to back it up.
Well, know this, Renee, you were doing the best you could with what you knew. I hope you don't beat yourself up or have regrets about that time. You didn't know better if that was the case with you. You just didn't know. So, just be kind to yourself with that as much as you can, okay?
I recognize that. I recognize that all I can do is moving forward, be better towards other people. I can't change who I was. I have the power of hindsight, but I can be better towards people in the future. And I was wondering how I can go about, doing that, moving forward with that. I have opted to volunteer, but unfortunately, I'm in Australia. I am a South African, but I'm in Australia right now, and I was volunteering with Catholic healthcare. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so frustrating because, it's a great cause, but there's obviously underhanded, how do you say, agendas with that organization.
Yes, absolutely.
I couldn't do that anymore.
No, I wouldn't be able to either.
So what do you recommend, I do, moving forward?
I personally, and I'd just say this because I worked with some of these organizations briefly when I did a tour of Australia years ago, but I'd reach out to Atheist Foundation of Australia, or, I don't know where you're at, but I mean, Sydney Atheist. There's a lot of organizations out there that would perhaps be able to point you in the right direction of here's the best places to volunteer. Here's where our efforts are most needed. Here's what's going on where, every minute of your time can make more of a difference than it would be maybe at a Catholic hospital. But it may be that it turns out being a volunteer at a Catholic hospital is one of the best things that you can do, because the secular patients that wind up in those situations may need an advocate, and they may need someone who can also reach out to secular organizations to say, hey, you know what? My needs aren't being met at this hospital. What can be done about that? And so just having someone there to identify and put those two groups or the patients in those groups in touch with each other can potentially help make a difference. If not for them right away, at least for the next secular patient that comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really such an interesting perspective. I really appreciate that. And like, it's really motivated me to actually persist then with the Catholic healthcare.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. I'm glad it
Well,
was
Renee,
it's helpful. I hope it works, but I definitely look for secular organizations to talk to, because the ones in Australia are going to know far more about this than I do. I mean, I've spent 2 weeks in my entire life basically in Australia, and in the most coddled fashion. I got flown around. I got to go to Australia Zoo and pretend that I was meeting Steve Irwin, even though he was dead at the time. I got to do all the fun stuff. And so,
Well, Renee, I'm sorry for the loss of your dad to ALS. That's a horrible thing. And I'm really glad that you have the perspective that you have on what that was and what you went through. And I really hope that you're able to continue to move forward from that with understanding and knowledge and having learned, and just not beating yourself up like we said earlier, but just knowing that there's a better way forward. And I love that you're looking for ways to advocate for these people and to make a difference. And I'm really, really, really proud of that about you. You're awesome. You're awesome.
Dave. I really appreciate it, and you're awesome. I really appreciate you humanizing the disease. I'm not being in denial, and you're recognizing the effects of it. And that's so I'm sorry, I'm sharing. That's so empowering. I really appreciate that, and it's really helped me.
You can say that's fucking. You can say it's fucking empowering. You don't need to apologize for swearing. My motto is carpe the fucking diem, so you can say it anytime you want.
And I say
But
fuck more than 5 sailors combined, but I did spend quite a few years in the Navy, so it's kind of fair.
Thank you for saying that, Renee.
Thank you so fucking much.
There you go.
Here you go. There you go. Doesn't it feel good?
And by the way,
it did.
An extra thanks, Renee, for you've dealt with a lot, and there are some people who might shut down. There are some people who are going to experience frustration. There are some people who are not going to know what to do or direct, and there's some people who are not going to want to talk about it. You are trying to positively and productively channel the frustration in honor of your dad, and you're calling into a show that primarily focuses on things halfway around the world to not only potentially get some advice, but to let our listeners know, because there are people listening right now who are crying in chat for very good reason, but have also dealt with similar frustrations, and you are helping to inspire some of them to action as well. So just keep going.
Yeah, good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you.
We love you. We love your call. Thank you. What time is it over there, by the way? 7 a.m?
I think it is 12 p.m.
Oh, 12 p.m. on Wednesday, right? Yeah.
Yes.
No, I
Yes.
don't know. I don't
Wednesday.
know. I don't know. Well, whatever time it is, we really thank you for calling in, and thank you for, just like Matt said, doing what you're doing, living the life you're living. You're crushing it, girl. Keep it up. Okay.
Thank you. And I appreciate you guys too. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
Of course. Anytime. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That,
Oh man.
so rough.
This is
It is.
this is why we do what we do.
Yeah, it is. I am both emotionally impacted. There's the empathy aspect. There's the let me put myself in that situation and how am I going to feel and all that. And then there's just the inspiring position where somebody's let me find a way to help make the world better after this. This is
Let me find a way to make a difference so that someone else's experience wasn't like mine.
Yeah.
And I love the way that she's able to, the perspective that she had on how religion dehumanizes people in those positions is really remarkable. And I think it's right on. So good for her. That's awesome. That's
you get
awesome.
the best calls, Dave. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I don't know.
We almost had measurable evidence of God, which I highly suspect that we were going to get nothing in the ballpark of anything measurable for a God. But I mean, it's getting to interact with people about the difficult aspects of our lives and helping all of us do a better job of preparing. Like, I joke about, not even joke, but take me out behind the barn when I'm no longer useful or whatever else. I want my body to go that, but that's the mechanics of the meat. The second thing, the thing that's more important is what you were talking about, which is she wants to make sure that nobody has to go through what her father potentially went through, because he probably kept a good chunk of it to himself about how that felt and how everything else. But for her and others to experience what they went through, to try to change things so that other people don't have to go through that when they're dealing with loss of their loved ones, is good as well. I feel like I'm sad. I'm happy. I'm encouraged. I feel completely inadequate because I talk a lot, but I've never actually spent any time at a hospital trying to make sure that, secular individuals there had the best representation. And now I kind of want to, although I'm not going to be particularly good at it, because when I'm at the hospital, it's usually for heart surgery.
Yeah. Well, you need to quit that. Okay.
That's my plan.
It's a big need. It's a big issue. And it's tough. It's heartwarming and heartbreaking to deal with these kind of calls, because they're so real and they're so raw in so many ways. And it always gets me emotional. I'll probably cry afterwards. I'm trying to hold it together now. But the beauty of what we do and getting to connect with someone halfway around the world in such a real way is it's beautiful. And I just, I'm thankful for the opportunity that we have to make these connections. And so, it matters and in very real ways. And I'm very happy about that. Let's
take
talk
a moment.
Okay.
I'm going to take a half a moment here before you get on to the next call to do something incredibly vain. I try to watch chat in addition to other stuff, and I'm pretty good at multitasking. But on the off chance that anybody's sitting there going, wow, look at Matt. He doesn't even bother to clean up or shave for Dave's show. It's winter time, and I've decided that I'm going to grow out the sides of the beard for the winter duration. So it's intentional scruffiness and an intentional longer beard. I love coming on Dave's show, and yes, I would have.
I was offended, Matt.
Otherwise,
I was offended. I didn't even notice.
I knew you would be.
For the record, I didn't even notice. I don't even care.
That's because you look me right in the eyes, the piercing eyes, and that's all you see.
That's all I see. Okay, let's talk to Mike, he, him in Canada. Hey, Mike, you're on the line with Dave and Matt. What's on your mind?
Mike.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing good.
Well,
I was just hoping for a bit of advice, I guess. Yeah, I'm calling, I guess, more as a skeptic than an atheist. And I was just hoping I could get some advice on how to coexist, I guess. A lot of my friends, well, almost every single one of them are like conspiracy theorists, anti-vax, a lot of transphobia, jokes and stuff like that. And I have a 13-year-old nephew who's, trans, and I had to remind them a couple of times in, social situations. Believe it or not, even up here in Canada, a lot of them are, pro-Trump. And, you're just sitting there thinking, like, what are you, a fucking idiot? But I don't know. It's
the
hard
answer to that
coexist.
The answer to that is yes. But my favorite thing about Canadians that are pro-Trump is that they don't get to vote.
Yeah. Thank God for that.
I guess
Pardon the pun.
I'll let Matt offer some advice here in a minute, but I guess my initial reaction to your what you've offered here is I wouldn't coexist with those people. I wouldn't even try to. I would be finding new friends because I have no tolerance for transphobia or conspiracy theorists or love of Trump or any of that bullshit. I don't need those kind of friends in my life. That's my off the top of the head take. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not far removed. I have a few friends that disagree with me about a number of things, including some fairly serious issues. And it's very likely that I have some friends who I probably won't be interacting with much, depending, as those things get more complicated. Obviously, trans issues are going to come to the forefront because if you're not going to respect me and my partner and the relationship, then I have no interest in spending any time with you, even though I might like you in other areas. But I had to think about this the other day. I have a friendly acquaintance. I don't want to say friend. I have a friendly acquaintance who's an asshole. And I mean that in the sense of like genuinely is an asshole. They are snobbish. They are, everything they like is great. Everything you like is shit. The ultimate kind of antiquated hipster. They are one of the world's biggest know-it-alls and will absolutely, without any prompting, preach their version of the right way. The person's knowledgeable and funny, and there are things about them that I greatly respect. But I'm at the point now where I don't think I'm going to spend any time interacting with them because they seem far more of a mindset that. Matter of fact, the phrase that I came up with to tell them, should we ever have to talk about this, is, I don't know what made you think that I am seeking either your approval, advice, or opinion about how I live my life and do things in my life, but you are greatly mistaken. And, so, and that's somebody who agrees with me on the overwhelming majority of things. It's just a point where I got limited time. And granted, I don't know how much time I've got. Nobody does. But there's a limit to how much of my time I'm going to waste on people who make my life less happy.
I
What do you think,
can definitely
Mike?
appreciate all of that. I guess the biggest difference for me is where I live. There's not a lot of people here. Like, it's a small town in the suburbs of a city population, maybe 200,000. These are people that I grew up with, that I've known my entire life. And the town that I live in is maybe 10, 15,000 people. Like I know everybody here.
Yeah.
So as far as coming
That's
up with
tough.
new friends,
Yeah.
there's a few, but there's not much of a, skeptic community around here, which is why I've been,
Yeah.
watching you guys for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm. No, I guess
Is your place?
So it's
I get
more
that.
of
I get that. Your dilemma is it's not like you can go out and just find a new friend group overnight. I know the difficulty of that. I guess my initial reaction was I just don't have the time, obviously, to spend, like Matt said, with people who are closed-minded and bigoted and hurt people. They hurt marginalized people. And I just am not gonna. I mean, if I was around them, we'd be having serious conversations about our differences. They would know I'm not okay with how they behave or how they think, and so they would probably remove themselves from my presence, and that would again put you in the same dilemma of who you're going to hang out with. So I don't pretend to say that your situation is easy to solve. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from with people like that. I don't have much time for them at all. And if I'm around them, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts with them. They're probably not going to enjoy spending time with me either.
yeah.
It's-
I guess that's
no
why
answers.
I end up
No answers here.
mostly
Sorry.
not saying much.
Yeah, I can hear. I can understand that. I mean, most of my family lives in Texas. I've got very religious family members. They vote for Trump every chance they get. They love their guns more than they love children. I have no point of contact with them and their family members, but I don't have to live in the same town with them. I guess that's the difference. I don't see them at the restaurants I go to, and I know that's tough. I'm sorry that you're in that situation. I really am.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Like, at least I don't have that issue with my family. Largely, my family is very secular. My dad spent some time at seminary when he was younger, and that was enough to get him out.
Yeah. Same thing with Matt, right, Matt?
I didn't actually go to seminary. I managed to get out before I actually went. But yeah, it's funny that I guess, okay, I was about to say something that would have been actually pretty silly, which was that there's 3 types of people who come out of seminary, but it's pointless to try to summarize that. But I'm glad that your dad was one of the ones that starting to go through seminary was enough. Because there are plenty of people, as we know from the Clergy Project, who've made it through seminary and actually active out and working in ministry, who are stuck despite the fact that they don't believe anymore. And so they try to do, they try to be the type of person that Seth's dad was, which was, I'm going to minister. I'm going to set aside the religious aspect and I'm going to focus on helping people.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate being in a small town. I grew up in a small town. I was, I was in the majority then, because I was a little fundamentalist Christian kid in a Christian family and all that stuff. But it would be, I can appreciate the difficulty of not having as many options.
Yeah. It's a tough spot you're in. We don't pretend to say that it's not. And it's good that you've got at least places online like this that you can connect with people who are like-minded. And I would encourage you to get in online communities as much as you can, just to have a place to vent, if nothing else. And, have people around you that get you.
Yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yep. Thanks, Mike. And I hope even in a smaller community, I genuinely hope that you have an opportunity at some point to find anybody to interact with on a personal level, because the world has gotten better at building online relationships between social media, between being able to do, Zoom calls, Skype calls, FaceTime, all that stuff. but in some circumstances, there's no real replacement for actually sitting down, talking to somebody face to face, getting a hug at the end of it, if that's the type of thing that you enjoy, and then saying, I don't need that again immediately, but I can't wait for it to happen again, at some point.
Yeah. Nothing replaces the human connection, in my view.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I won't
Mike,
take up too much more of your time.
Sorry we didn't have any stellar, life-changing advice for you, just to commiserate with you, if nothing else. But I really appreciate you calling, and thank you for watching the
a little
show
bit
and
at a time.
supporting
Every
us.
little bit. Yeah, every little bit helps, right?
That's right. Hang in there, buddy.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank
All
you.
right. Later, man. Well, those of you that watch this show regularly know I don't go nearly as long as Matt's and Jimmy's shows. I don't have the physical stamina for it, or probably the patience for it, whatever. Anyway,
That's the other reason I love doing Dave's show. If I do 4 hours of show on Sunday, and then I got 4 hours of show on Wednesday. If I try to do 4 hours of show here, I wouldn't be able to do anything.
I can't do it. But we appreciate your calls, and we've got some super chats now. If you haven't gotten your super chat in, remember, it's a great way to support the show. $5 or more, and we'll read it on the air right now.
Boom.
Here they come. Boom.
Goes to dynamite.
You go first, Matt.
$5 from God's servant. Matt, hope you're doing well after your surgery, friend. Hey, Dave. God bless. Acts 2:38. My surgery was 2 years ago. 2 years ago next month. I'm pretty much back to normal. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still weak, but that's just because that's normal for me. I'm not having any.
What is
I still have.
You know the Bible. What's Acts 2:38 say, Matt? You know the Bible. I don't know it anymore. I'm glad to be removed from it.
You don't know it anymore? Are you suggesting that once upon a time you would have known Acts 2:38 and you don't now?
No, I knew the Bible more back in the day when I was preaching it, but I don't keep up with it, nor do I want to, nor do I care what Acts 2:38 says. Anyway,
I'm going to look it up just to make sure. It's Peter saying, "Reform and be baptized unto each of you in the name of Jesus Christ, for the remission of sin, and you shall have the gift of the Holy Spirit."
Okay, well, whatever. Thanks for that, Matt. God's servant. Thanks for your $5, God's servant.
I got distracted because I had a wonderful person delivering some acetaminophen to me, but also I still have this thing. So this, and it's going to look weird on the green screen because the little that's in there. This is something that I had to use during recovery, where I had to inhale and keep this little.
Yeah, the ball in the air. Yeah.
Directly between those and target that. So it was like.
Oh, you still got it, bro. Yeah. Look at you.
And then you get it up to the measuring thing. I still am terrible at it.
$19.99 from LA Silver Servers. We all love you, Dave. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you for your support. As Matt takes his medicine.
It's just, this one's just acetaminophen because I can't take ibuprofen anymore. $4.99 from John Doan. Hello, Dave and Matt. Always good to see you both. I'm doing better this week. I got out and walked my dogs. Dave, do you fight depression? I sure do. Respect and love.
Thank you, John. I'm not really wired that way. I don't deal with a lot of depression. I have bad days. Today was just shitty because it's cold and rainy and gray and blah. But that's just a weather thing. For the most part, I'm a pretty positive individual. I'm lucky. I know that a lot of people do, and a lot of that's just your wiring, and I don't take any credit for that at all. But for the most part, I don't, and I'm sorry you do, John. I hope you're getting some help with that as it affects you.
Yeah, I hope you do too, John. The thing is, I've I've had partners who suffer from a number of different issues. Do I get depressed on occasion? Yeah, probably the normal amount. Do I deal with anxiety on occasion? Yeah, probably the usual amount or the typical amount.
Mm-hmm.
It's I haven't been diagnosed with much of anything because I don't know that what would prompt me to actually go get diagnosed. Unfortunately, I grew up with some really bad ideas about mental health stuff, and I'm over them because I'm over the bad ideas. If I absolutely feel that I need any help, which I have, I am happy and eager to go get some counseling and see somebody. But having interacted quite a bit with people who deal with chronic depression, chronic anxiety, a number of things like that, I hope you find a way through it. $5 from the Raven 200. Pronouns are he, him. I love when Dying Out Loud comes on. Me too. Jimmy, go take a stink face from Rikishi, then a bonsai drop from Rikishi, then another stink face from Rikishi. I would not wish that on anybody. That was always one of the things that bugged me the most when Rikishi or Yokozuna used to do this as well. I'd hate to be sitting down there slumped over the bottom rope and just have somebody's ass right in my face. It's funny, but it's not fun. I'm going to keep going because I got a black screen right now. $4.99 from Joe Pallarito. Sorry. Dave, my brother just picked up your book. Excited other family members and I can talk about childish things. Thanks and cheers to both of you. Thanks, Joe. By the way, that's a good reminder. Let me run some quick announcements real quick in the midst of all this. Down below, like directly below me down there in the description for the show, if you're watching live right now, you can just expand it. If you're watching after the fact, you can still expand it. You'll find a link to Dave's organization, IamDyingOutLoud.org, where you can go and offer your support as well. You can also find information there about how to support the network at patreon.com/calltheline, as well as the various. Oh, now I've got an echo coming through Dave's speakers, so we're going to get back into the earbuds.
My earbuds went out, so it's going to be bad for the rest of it.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, all the links are down there. I'll let Dave talk.
Hey, Joe. Childish things. What were we saying? Your brother got my book. Great. Thanks and cheers to both of you. I'm not sure what we're saying here. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
You're going to have to read them.
$10 from the Raven 200. He, him. When I die, I want to be cremated and have my ashes put in an hourglass. That way I can still participate in family game night.
That's wonderful.
Love that. Jimmy, go take a blue flame prominence burn. Jet burn from Dobby. Thank you, Raven. That's funny. You got it, Jim? Matt, no?
No, we're going to need you to read all of them just to kill the echo.
Oh, I'm so sorry. $5 from Jeremy Martin. Dave, it was an honor to kick your butt by 6.16 fantasy points. Fantasy football. Oh, my God. You did. It was horrible. Seriously, though, you're both an inspiration, and Dave waiting on that second book. I am working on it, so I thank you for your patience, everyone. Thank you, Jeremy. $5 from Robin Webster. Hey, Dave, thank you to everyone at the line for all you do. You're appreciated more than you know. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy. Thanks, Robin. Appreciate your support. $10 from Atlas Die. Hey, Atlas. Love you, Dave. Cheers to both of you. CTFD, which means Carpe the fucking diem. Thanks, Atlas. Appreciate you. $20 from Jungle. Thanks for giving it your best each show. I appreciate all the quality work the line and hosts give to viewers like myself. A question for each of you. How would you want people to remember you? Thanks again. Carpe the fucking diem. That we gave our best is how I would answer that. and
Yeah.
Mac's not going to answer because the echo is too bad. Is it okay?
It'll be awful. I don't really think about how people will remember me. I care about how the people who know me remember me, because I've already had experiences where people who don't know me think they do. And the way I exist in their heads, I don't care for that. And it's not accurate. So I would hope that anybody who remembers me could at least have a more accurate understanding of who I am, who I was, and what I did. Or I'd be fine with them just forgetting me, and letting the work, live on.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Let the work live on. That's good. Thank you. $5 from Panda, CTFD, Carpe the fucking diem. Thank you, Panda. I appreciate the support. And I hope you do Carpe the fucking diem. $4.99 from Lawrence Dillard Jr. Great episode. Love you both. What a powerful call with Renee. I lost a religious coworker today. Miss you, Cliff. Hug each other. Sorry for your loss, Lawrence. I really am. That's it. Hug each other. Appreciate the moments we have. $20 from Seth Erickson. Thanks again, guys. On an unrelated note, I got to perform my first Pastafarian wedding at the beginning of the month. Ramen. That's
Ramen.
fun. Ramen. Thanks, Seth. $4.99 from Sarah Wilson. Is it selfish to have unaliving ideations when people such as Dave don't have long? I had some issues a couple of weeks ago and I just felt more guilty. No, that's my simple answer. Is it's not selfish. We all have our own challenges. We all have our own issues. And to say that someone's mental struggle with these ideations is less valid than my physical struggle with ALS is not fair. So I would say no. We each have to deal with our own stuff.
You don't need to feel guilty for feeling sad when somebody else is happy, or for feeling bad about what's going on in your life just because somebody's got it worse. It's not a competition. And what's going on in your life isn't part of some zero-sum game where you have to compare to everybody else. There are people with lives that you and I and others would look at and say, these people have it all. They have health and wealth and family and love and power and happiness, and they can do what they want. And some of those people are absolutely miserable quite often, and that misery is justified. When Robin Williams ended his life for whatever reasons, that was entirely about his mental condition. And it's never about what's going on. You don't have to worry about comparing yourself to anybody else, or is it selfish of me? Sometimes selfishness is warranted and is one of the best things for you. And I hope that you are, and if you're not, please seek out seculartherapy.org. But I hope that you are getting help for those thoughts, intrusive thoughts and ideations like that are a real part of who many people are, and what's going on in somebody else's life is completely irrelevant. And anybody who looks at you and would think that was selfish or whatever, they're just not able to understand your situation.
Yeah, don't feel guilty, Sarah. I hope you can move on from that. And I don't want anyone ever to compare themselves or their situation to mine. We're not the same. None of us. We all have our own lives to live, our own issues to deal with. Thank you for talking about that, Sarah, and thank you for your support. I apologize for my sound issues tonight. I will get it fixed and do better next week. So thank you for your patience, everyone, and thank you for your calls and your chats and your super chats and for just being here. We wouldn't have this show without you. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for being a part of the line. Thanks, Matt, for being here. Oh, got one more. $5 from Jared Gerbear Fuller. I just lost my mom last month to cancer. So I share in the grief with Seth and Renee. Thank you, Matt and Dave, for all you do. Love you both. CTFD. Jared, I'm sorry
Thanks,
for your
Jared.
loss. I'm sharing in the grief with other people who've lost loved ones. I'm glad that we can be a place for folks to connect around these kinds of issues. There aren't a lot of places like that, and I'm really happy that Dying Out Loud can be a place for that. So thank you for your support. $5 from Emery King. Wow, I almost cried when Dave said that mental health struggles are as valid as his physical ones. Thanks for being great, y'all. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Emery. Appreciate that.
Thanks, everybody.
Wow.
And thanks, Dave. I always love coming over and getting to hang out with you. Hopefully we get to hang out in person pretty soon.
Yeah, it's long overdue, brother. We gotta see each other again. It's been too long. I love you, and thanks for coming on tonight. And thank you, Arden and Amargan, for production and for the call screeners. Great job. Don't let Christina in. We don't want to talk to her. So
I'm not playing her bullshit game. But here's a virtual hug. I love you too, Dave. I hope to see you soon. There's a virtual.
All right, buddy. Same to you. Goodbye, everyone. And as we close out, as always, our patron producers on the scroll, they make it all happen. Thank you for your Patreon support, everyone. Good night. Goodbye. Till next time. Matt, don't dance. No, stop. Bring it in. Bring it in.